Atlanta's largest natural green space is under threat, and several local climate activists are hoping they can save it. Let's talk about it. This is Apolitical. Right now, there are two major Atlanta real estate developments that are in their planning stages, and both would involve bulldozing several acres of forest land in southwest DeKalb. The first is the new police training facility that Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms, City Councilwoman Joyce Shepard, the Atlanta Police Foundation, and a few other city leaders are pushing to have built on the grounds of the old Atlanta prison farm. Mayor Bottoms announced this project back in March, but essentially they want to build a 150-acre state-of-the-art police academy at this former prison site, complete with indoor and outdoor shooting ranges, housing for police recruits, and even a mock city for real-world simulation training. And this is reportedly going to be paid for with money from the Atlanta Police Foundation, private donors, and some city funds. Now, just down the road from the prison farm is Black Hall Studios. Black Hall Studios is a major movie studio. It's one of the largest in the state of Georgia. They've done major movies like Godzilla and Jumanji, and they're looking to clear an additional 40 acres of nature in that same area so that they can expand their studio and become the largest movie studio in the country. Coming up, we're going to be speaking with one of the organizers of the Defend the Atlanta Forest movement. This is an on-the-ground campaign to protect the wildlife in this forest in southwest DeKalb and to stop both of these new developments from taking place. So stay tuned. All right, so we're here with May. May is a member of the Defend the Atlanta Forest movement. She's also a resident of the Lakewood community, which is just up the road from the old Atlanta prison farm, where this new police facility would be developed. So May, thank you so much for coming on Apolitical. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us.
Of course. So I just want to start by you telling me a little bit and telling the listeners a little bit about yourself and your connection with the Defend the Atlanta Forest movement.
Yeah, I'm a resident of South Atlanta. I live in Lakewood. One of the things I love the most about Atlanta is the trees and the nature that's here. And I love to visit all the forests that exist in South Atlanta. And so when I heard about this, I was really upset to know that there were like 1,000 acres being threatened along the South River. And so, I started talking to some other people who felt the same way and were also upset about it, and started going to meetings with other groups that were, also feeling riled up. And so, the movement has begun, basically.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, it has existed for a while, but now I feel like there's a new energy behind it.
Exactly. Nice. You mentioned meetings. To me, it seemed like the announcement of the police facility just kind of popped up out of nowhere. Did it feel that way for you, or was the community kind of informed? Like, when did you find out that this was happening? Yeah,
I only found out about it a couple months ago, but I know that they have been talking about it for a little while, but it's always been in very much like the hypothetical, the long term, and there has been very little information about it. And so, when they like dropped like this is happening, it felt like, they're trying to bypass like any public process, any scrutiny that might happen after like the massive movement to defund the police and protect Black life that happened last summer.
Yeah. After everything that happened last summer, you have to think that they knew there would be some backlash to a brand new police academy.
Yeah. In my view, they're trying desperately to avoid any public input, like as little as possible. And so there's like been no community engagement. And actually the way that they're doing it is by essentially like privatizing the police training facility to a degree, which we call the Cop City, because they want to build a mock city as part of it, train crowd control. And so they're doing that by leasing the land or attempting to lease the land to the Atlanta Police Foundation, which is essentially like a slush fund that exists for the police to do what they want without being subject to public process, scrutiny, city approval. Yeah. And so the Atlanta Police Foundation is like who is raising all the money for this, who they're going to attempt to give the land to, and who would build this in order to, they're like open about it. there's like an article from the Supporter Report recently, and in it, the Atlanta Police Foundation representative says basically like we're trying to move forward with this as fast as possible and bypass any community input.
Yeah, I've also read that even though it is forest land, the actual area where they want to build the facility is still pretty residential. Do you see that as an issue as well?
Well, yeah, like the residential aspect of the area is definitely, it's a big one. I know that people in Gresham Park are already like disturbed frequently because of the police the police firing range. Like the SWAT will like practice at 3 a.m. there, and there's like bombs going off in their neighborhood like at 3 a.m. So I know that people there are upset about like the change in intention for this land, which like there have been public processes or like public discussions about what to do with the prison farm for many years, but it's all been around like what kind of park will this be? Right. So this is a total departure from that.
Yeah. Well, another critique people have of this new facility is the history of the land that they want to build it on. Can you talk about what the old Atlanta prison farm actually was?
Yeah. The prison farm was acquired by different government entities in Atlanta around the turn of the century. And before that, it was plantation land and involved in the Civil War. But around the turn of the century, they started a farm there where people who were picked up on minor charges like loitering or public drinking or moonshining would be, coerced to work basically without as a condition of their imprisonment, their charges. And so it continued that way through the 50s, where then it changed. It was like, there's some certain history around it, like with it being the honor farm, like that it didn't have guards and things like this, but it still was like a carceral institution, really. Right. But it became more of like a traditional prison, like around the 50s, and it continued that way until the 90s. And it was still worked as farmland. So it really is like continuing the legacy of the plantation land there, people being forced to work for free. And it was closed down in the 90s, but there was now there's a kids prison there. There's a juvenile facility that's been built on part of that land. Mm-hmm. And it's been used for other like kind of weird things also. Like there's a cemetery for animals from the Atlanta Zoo. Like there's elephants and giraffes buried out there. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's like it's been used as like a dumping ground for stones from the Carnegie Library, which are all out there like covered in moss and vines. And now it's used as a firing range for the police, actually just a part of the forest. But, it's adjacent to a neighborhood and to the public park, and they use it for target practice. There's like a school bus out there that they use for target practice. And when you walk the trails, like around Entrenchment Creek, there's like tear gas canisters that litter the trails out there. So it's still being used in part by the police, but most of it has regrown from the farmland it once was into a forest again.
Yeah, and now they want to clear a lot of that forest land. I know one of the biggest environmental concerns are the number of trees that would have to be chopped down in order to build this new facility. So can you talk about the environmental impact that would have?
Yeah, so the land where this particular project is being proposed to be built is one of the most crucial ecological regions of Atlanta that is still mostly intact. And actually, like Atlanta in general is different than other U.S. cities in that it has like a chance for climate resiliency moving forward through global heating. And actually, like the amount of tree canopy and habitat nature that is intact in the city, like provides it a chance of survival, better living conditions. Right. And so one of the most important zones in basically that continuing to be true is the South River Zone. And so I try not to distinguish between all of the different parts of forest. Like it's really one forest that Atlanta's in. But in the South River, there's like the city's own reports say that it is like the most ecologically diverse habitat that needs to be preserved. It has wetlands, which help mitigate flooding. There's like a huge swath of trees. It's the largest contiguous part of forest left in the city. And so, it's really essential for many reasons, but the ecological impact would be really devastating. There's like certain animals that their only habitat is in that forest. Yeah.
Hey y'all, just wanted to pause our interview with May for a moment to tell you guys about Gratitude Botanical Farm. This is a Black-owned farm on the west side of Atlanta near Adamsville, and they're committed to providing fresh food and produce to our communities. So they sell fresh produce from their farm every week. You can purchase it on their website, or you can DM them on Instagram to place an order. I definitely think you guys should check it out and support these Black farmers. You can find them on Instagram at Gratitude Botanical Farm, and their website is gratitudeatl.com. All right, let's get back to the interview. All right, so just down the road from the old Atlanta prison farm is Black Hall Studios, and they too are looking to clear a portion of this forest land in order to expand their studio. But I hear there's a lawsuit pending to try to stop the expansion of the studio. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
So Black Hall Studios has sort of like a couple different things going on. One of them is that they have 170 acres that they already own that they're attempting to clear cut, which is directly on the South River. And they want to clear cut all the trees there on the river and connect it to this parcel of land that currently is Entrenchment Creek Park, which is a DeKalb County park. And they have this deal that that the CEO of Black Hall Studios, Ryan Millsap, has made with DeKalb County in order to trade this land, which is forested public park, for 3 separate individual parcels nearby of land that has already been clear cut and has already been sort of devastated. Yeah, and this is the land swap that there's currently a lawsuit against. Yeah, and basically it's like an unprecedented thing. They're trying to trade privately owned parcels of land for this public park that actually, when it was entrusted to DeKalb County by Arthur Blank and the public trust for land. For land. They said in the deed in the early 2000s, like, this has to be used for public use in perpetuity. And so Arthur Blank, who's like involved in both this project, the Black Hall project, and funding the Cop City, actually, they undid the deed. They changed the terms of the deed in order to allow this to move forward. Yeah. But there's a lawsuit, Stop the Swap, which is one of the groups involved in the movement, has taken out a lawsuit against both DeKalb County and Black Hall Studios in order to challenge this aspect of the swap. And it's kind of confusing because Black Hall just sold Ryan Millsap sold Black Hall Studios to a different company, which is a California equity firm called the Commonwealth Group. And he is still involved in the project. Like, he's involved in Black Hall, which is like the creative side, and he has a minority share in the Commonwealth Group. So he's still a part of it, but it's changed the legal situation. It's unclear how the sale of this property affects like the promises he's made about what they'll give to DeKalb County and the terms of the lawsuit.
Wow. Okay. So let me try to unpack that.
I know,
that was
it's a lot.
So Millsap, the owner of Black Hall Studios, owns a piece of forested land already.
They own a piece of forested land. They own like 4 parcels basically in this area. One is 170 acres that they intend to clear cut on the South River. Then there's a property just north of Entrenchment Creek Park on Boulder Crest Road. And they've already clear cut this, and they learned that they can't build what they want to build there. It used to be a wetland. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And they learned they couldn't build what they wanted to build there. So they decided to trade it for what they think would be better for them. And there's like 2 other small parcels that they've tied into this like land swap deal, but they're just like nearby on Boulder Crest.
So that's the land he wants to trade to DeKalb County.
Yeah, the 170 acres they're going to hold on. That's part of their long-term project. But it's like this 44 acres at Entrenchment Creek they're trying to trade for these 3 other small separate parcels.
Gotcha. So, of course, many DeKalb County officials have come out in support of the expansion of this movie studio. They say it'll be good for the economy, that it'll provide jobs to members of the community. What do you say to that?
Yeah, I mean, I know that Ryan Millsap made a lot of promises about what this was going to bring to DeKalb. But what I've heard from residents in the area is a lot of skepticism about whether any of this is valid, whether it'll be followed through on. there's a lot of frustration from people who live in these areas that are being, there's like a lot of Hollywood filming going on in, and Gresham Park is one of those that they feel disrespected, feel like intruded upon by the filming that happens in their neighborhood, and it would just only increase. Yeah, he's trying to build the largest soundstage in the Western or English speaking world. Yeah. He's trying to build like a massive Hollywood studio. So it would change life for all the people around there in many different ways. And like, I live in Lakewood and we have a massive film studio in Lakewood. And I don't know anyone who like lives in the neighborhood who works for the film studio. Mostly people are like constantly being redirected because of traffic. They're being like unable, like their businesses are being impacted because there's filming outside that shuts them down for days at a time. And it's like really feels like an intrusion that isn't bringing anything.
Yeah. Well, in fairness, DeKalb officials have said that the land that they're planning to swap with Black Hall would be used to build a public park, I guess similar to Piedmont Park. Do you think that's a fair compromise?
Yeah. I don't think that there's any compromise with what like has already been lost actually at this land on Boulder Crest. Like if you go there, it's really like acres and acres of dirt because they've already destroyed all of the trees, habitat, nature that existed there.
Just to find out that they couldn't do anything.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then decide that they want to do that to more land, which is like also wetlands and, so they already destroyed it. The topsoil is gone. Like, and it's really kind of disturbing. Like if you listen to what is being said by the company that's contracted for the park proposal for this land, they like say things like they want to build a water feature that resembles a creek or something like this, but it's like there's like
not a creek.
Yeah, there's a real creek
right there.
There's a real creek right there. Like you know, it's like yeah, it's really upsetting to know that they believe they can like destroy actual nature and build something. Yeah.
Well, May, once again, I'd like to thank you for coming on A-Political and keeping us all informed on what's going on over in the Atlanta forest. Where can people keep up with the Defend the Atlanta Forest movement?
Twitter, Defend ATL Forest, and Instagram, Defend Atlanta Forest. And yeah, if people want to reach out directly to us, they can email us at defendatlantaforest@protonmail.com. But we really are, it's a broad movement. We're not an organization. We don't have membership. We don't really have representatives. We just have like an orientation around autonomy and encouraging people to do things with their friends, their family, their community, and with the movement in general. And so, we invite anyone to create an event.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, thanks so much, May, for taking the time.
Thank you for having Defend Atlanta Forest on.
Of course. So that is all for this episode of A-Political. Thank you guys so much for listening, watching, whatever you're doing. Coming up next week, we're going to be sitting down with Kelly Jean Lee. Kelly is a candidate for Atlanta City Council in District 1. And these new developments, the old Atlanta prison farm, all of this is right outside of her district. So I'm curious to see how she feels about these new developments and how they would affect her constituents. So as usual, thank you so much for listening. Make sure you go ahead and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube, and follow Atlanta Decoded on social media, Instagram and Twitter for more updates. And I will see you next week.